Well, let me repeat that. Greetings, folks. Now we're recording this and getting ready to start our monthly webinar. And the session and the topic today, we'll try to stay on time, is how to leverage AI techniques in the QA and QA automation function in the software development lifecycle. And the reason we picked this topic is, as you have all been very familiar, I'm sure, is that there's been a widespread adoption of AI techniques for software development part. And we have many teams in our company and our clients that are reporting huge, significant productivity improvement of using the AI coding tools, whether it is Claude, whether it is Cursor or Copilot and all that. But the point about how to leverage these similarly throughout the testing pyramid as we the framework for QA and testing, that's the topic we want to tackle today. So with that topic laid out, let me introduce the expert speaker and the presenter we have today, Shachin Agrawal. He's the founder, CEO of EverTest. EverTest is squarely in this business. They help QA teams how to scale with confidence and use AI techniques to dramatically improve the development productivity. And he's a seasoned software professional with 3 decades of prior experience in both leading software development teams, QA teams, and being a founder himself of a QA testing automation company called Zen Verify, which he had a successful exit by sale to KPMG. And so he is the right person for us to help us really dig into this topic. So the way we'll go about this is I'll turn it over to Shachin to share his perspective on this broad topic of how to use AI techniques to improve the productivity of the QA function. And then along the way, I'll ask some question to clarify and kind of amplify some of the topics he's going to cover. And we'll still reserve some time towards the end to take any questions that from the audience that may not have gotten adequately covered during the process. So first thing, let me just confirm everybody can hear me okay, and anybody can respond on a chat if there's any audio issues you guys feel you're seeing in here. I would appreciate any of you who have joined before we get the actual. I just want to make sure there are no audio issues hearing us. Okay, sounds good. Looks like there are enough responses from this. So let's get started. So let me turn it over to you, Shachin, to share your perspective as a kind of a backdrop to this topic of using AI techniques for QA and QA automation.
Sure. Thank you, Hemant. And very good morning, good evening to all of you. This topic has been very close to my heart, and for QA automation. And now, for the first time, I believe with the advent of Gen AI, we can really make a very very significant, an order of magnitude improvement in the QA automation. So I have built a short deck. Hemant, if that's okay, I can share that.
Yeah, good idea. Getting
That.
some visuals always helps frame and communicate better. So go ahead, share from your side. Yeah.
Right, here we go. Okay, so let me go to the next slide. So Hemant, as you talked before, AI has been able to improve development productivity. And as you can see with this green line, development productivity is improving. There is no doubt about it. And this is just a start. As more and more developers start using AI, we believe that this will become an exponential curve. Now, the AI has not been able to improve the QA capacity by the same token. So what we are seeing now is this gap between the development productivity and between the QA capacity. So when development productivity, development velocity is increasing and QA velocity is not by the same token. And now we have this gap, and this
Yeah.
gap is increasing by month. And if we don't handle it, then this will become so large that that will become and already becoming a bottleneck in the enterprise software development and releases.
Yeah.
The thing
So
is
just
that
to
this,
clarify this
yeah,
for the
go ahead.
audience. So this gap that you point to, and we've been observing, and I'm sure many of the audience members
Mhm.
are also of the green line, which is productivity is improving of the development team. But I also hear that the tools like Claude and others that are being
Yeah.
used for development teams, they can produce along with code, they can produce
Mhm.
test cases also. So can you tell us,
Right.
do you still feel we are increasing the
Yes.
gap? Yeah.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And those tools have been able to improve QA productivity also. But those tools, and I would say that pretty much all the existing tools that we have for QA automation, they are improving the QA productivity only incrementally. They are accelerators,
Okay.
whereas development productivity is going by leaps and bounds. So
Hmm.
yes, they are helpful, but we need a shift in our thinking
Okay.
and go beyond just plain and simple accelerator in order to close this gap.
Okay.
And
Got it.
in the next pages, I will talk about those.
Sounds good. Yeah.
So, and this is again very very similar thing. Development productive. So the typical dev QA product person has this 4x, 2x to 1x ratio in a typical enterprise. What is
So what do you
happening
mean
is
by the
that
4x, 2x on the left side, just to clarify for the audience, this is a typical team of a four developer, two QA, and one product owner, kind of a scrum
that
team.
is
Okay.
correct. The
That,
typical Scrum team.
yeah,
Now, what
yeah,
is happening is that with AI, if you look on the right side, the dev productivity or the dev velocity has increased a lot.
yeah.
What it has done is to put a demand on QA, and this demand currently is not being met.
Okay.
And again, I'm talking about that gap.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Understood.
Uh, you haven't you talked about the this testing in terms of this pyramid.
Yeah.
So this is a standard test pyramid: unit test, API test, integration, UI end to end, and then finally exploratory. And I'm going to base our discussion on this pyramid. So let me go to the next one. Uh, what what we are seeing is that for unit tests and API tests, the tooling has been pretty good, and with AI, this has become even better. And the
Mm.
reason this has become so good on unit and API tests is because AI works off context. AI is like human, So for human, if you provide context, the productivity improves.
Mm.
Similarly, for AI, when the context is there, the productivity improves. For unit
Mm.
tests, the context is the code, very well defined. In fact, as we said, AI is writing a lot of code, so it already knows about it. So it already is able to build unit tests for those code.
So let's
API
double
test,
click on that. I mean, on this bottom of the pyramid,
yeah.
especially the unit test. So your point is, as developers, I mean, development teams are using AI
Mhm.
tools to write code, those codes are accompanied with unit tests already with these
Yes,
AI. So that
correct.
used to be a common challenge of technical debt, tech debt,
Mhm.
that some
Yes,
development teams will write code without anymore. So at least the bottom of the
correct.
pyramid well covered
Yes,
with the same lines. Okay.
absolutely, absolutely. And I would encourage everybody, if somebody is not doing it that way, then I would encourage them to start having AI write the unit test. Uh, API test, similar story. So the context for the APIs are the contracts.
Yeah.
And if you have very well defined contracts, AI is able to write quite effective tests for them.
Okay.
And the situation starts getting more difficult once we get into the integration and UI testing. Because here, the context becomes more nebulous. So it is, what is the context for integration? Or so integration, the context is the business workflows, the happy path, the negative condition, the exceptions, and uh, all sorts of edge conditions. For if and the databases, various integration points. And when you get to the UI, on top of that, in addition to all of this, now you have the application itself and the application DOM and how that DOM is constructed. So all of this becomes the context. And unless the UI gets this context, it is not very effective. And that is when I was talking about the existing tools. And the reason I'm calling these tools accelerators is because these tools, in my view, focus on a QA engineer improving their productivity by providing them acceleration rather than consume the context and then bring upon 10x or 20x productivity gain. What we are seeing is 30%, 40%, 50% productivity gain.
Yeah. Okay.
And so that is the key, context. And I'm saying testing is not a problem. It's not that you can just sit on ChatGPT and just spit out a prompt and then automated test automation scripts will just pop out. Yes, it will pop out, but will it work? That is the key. If you try to do that you do get tests, but the tests you will, and I have seen it any number of times, is that you are going to get a lot of false negatives and worse, a lot of false positives. And false positives are where we lose trust. See, and one of the key statements I would like to make is that mostly right is helpful in development, but it is dangerous in testing. And the reason is that for development, when you spit out the code, there are still a lot of quality gates. There is a code review. There are unit tests. There are different types of tests, and eventually there are all of these functional tests and UI tests and all of these to make sure that what you put into production is working. When you're talking about test automation, you're talking about a gate. Test automation itself is the gate. If this gate is faulty, then that's a huge problem.
Yeah.
And that is why I say that you cannot have flaky tests. You lose the trust, and then the whole automation projects is then abandoned. And this is happening across the board all the time. People start with an automation project, they think it is doing well, and then after a few months, too many flakiness, lack of trust, and abandon.
I see.
So this is something we need to handle.
Yeah, so let me make sure we keeping up with your thought process. Can you go back to the previous slide where you have the pyramid? So you're saying
Yes.
these issue of trust and flaky test resulting in a lack of trust starts showing up in the middle of this pyramid or middle to top of the
Yeah.
pyramid. The context
Right.
is weak or missing in the integration test or UI test or exploratory test. Okay. Yeah. So let me ask you, how realistic is this for a development team to think that they can take a user story, classical
Hmm.
well-written user story,
Right.
and feed it to an AI to a development tool like Claude Code, and that can hopefully produce the working code with some iterations. And the same story can be fed into Claude for producing an end-to-end functional test. And so,
Hmm.
is that scenario within reach for development teams?
So, so you're talking about two different paths here. So
Yeah,
you have the PRD or the specs in some shape or form, or the story or an epic, and then you give it to Claude
yeah,
Code, and ask it to build the code, develop the
yeah,
code. That actually is fairly effective.
right.
I would say with some iterations that, uh, and I do it on a daily basis,
Okay.
day in and day out, and that is very, very effective. You can
So
get
yeah, so
10x
can you
improvement in
use the
productivity.
same path to for Claude to
Yeah.
now use a
Mhm.
automation test script for your
Yeah.
favorite automation tool, let's say RunnerX or
Right.
whatever.
Right. Right. That is where we are having trouble, because
Hmm.
where we are today is that Claude Code or any tool will build some test automation script. However, other than very, very simple situation, for simple situations, yes, login and all those kind of things, yes, it works. And in
Okay.
fact, most of the examples you will find for with most of the vendors, they give login. This is the most simple thing, login. But when we start talking about enterprises and enterprise grade applications,
Mhm.
that's where when the rubber meets the road, we find that we are not there yet. And we are not there because, see, for the development, again, let's go back to development. Cloud Code. How does Cloud Code able to build such a effective code is because it has access to the existing code.
Mhm.
It reads the existing code and then makes changes.
Mhm.
When you have a test automation, when if you ask Claude or any AI system to write test automation scripts, they need to have access to the existing context, which is, like I said, workflows. What are the workflows? What are the business workflows? What is the intent? What are you trying to achieve here? What are the positive, negative edge cases?
Yeah.
And in case of UI testing, what is the DOM? So unless the AI form learns about application and about all this context, it is not able to effectively build test automation suite for
Mhm.
enterprise application.
Mhm.
And that is a gap today.
Okay. Okay. All right. Let's keep going. Yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
thing you clarified for us. Yeah.
Good.
Okay.
And again, I'm talking about context. So
Mhm.
and here is something, as we started working and we started on this journey, we found out is that one of the things that can provide that the context, the knowledge about the enterprise application are the manual test cases. We already have manual test cases. Most
So
most
suppose the
enterprises have.
assumption is these are documented or well documented manual test cases. So AI tool can ingest them as a
Yes. Yeah. So these manual test cases can be in any shape or form. And
Okay.
the reality is that many of the legacy applications or any application that has been there for 3-4 years at least, uh, not all manual test cases would be accurate. Some would be stale, some would be missing steps, etc., etc. But at least there will be something to ground.
Yeah.
Something is better than nothing. That is the approach I would propose.
If you don't have
So,
manual test cases, can you
mhm,
just ingest a PRD, a well-written PRD or updated PRD, or any support documents, anything else that you may have
yes,
existing around the
yes,
functionality of
yes,
that platform? Okay. Okay.
yes, absolutely, absolutely. And so, if there are well-written PRDs, functional specs, acceptance criteria, any of these,
Yeah.
then those can also be ingested instead or complementing manual test cases.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So in so the idea is to provide all of this information to the AI platform, which builds in the green box the application understanding. So it knows the workflow intent, the UI DOM structure and behavior, the state transitions, integration boundaries, etc. And that is what will yield to into scalable automation.
Mhm. Okay. And
So,
this
uh, yeah, go ahead,
And
please.
this recommendation applies whether you are doing new development from scratch, where you may have PRDs and all that, of course,
Mhm. Yes,
or an existing legacy application which may have some manual test cases, may or may not have old PRDs, but this flow of creating
yes,
context.
that is
That's
correct. Correct. Right. Right. Now, I would say that uh, even if you provide all manual test cases, you feed in all the manual test cases, it doesn't mean that AI will have 100% understanding. It
Mhm.
may have 60, 70, 80% something, but something is better than nothing. And the other thing uh, is that it is going to be an iterative development, iterative process. So you feed whatever you have to AI, and AI builds some understanding. Then let AI start building the test cases. Have a human gate to review those, and you will find that initially AI is making mistakes. You fix those mistakes. AI learn with a feedback loop, and it starts getting better and better. And what we have seen, and all of us have seen AI, like even like Cloud Code, that once it starts working, once it starts having the knowledge, then
Mhm.
there there is a almost exponential uh, improvement in velocity and accuracy.
Mhm. Mhm.
So even though it is frustrating, but that is what should be done, in my view, to get to scalable automation.
And when you say it is acceleration non-linear over time, that's over a period of a project. Let's say a development project takes, multiple
Mhm.
quarters, several months at
Yes,
least.
right,
And
right,
so the
yeah.
tool, the AI tool, Claude or otherwise, maintains a context continuity to be able to apply the learning from a
Mhm.
3 months ago to now, today.
Yes, 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 absolutely, absolutely. So in a multi-quarter project, um, uh, I would tell you from my experience is that it would take anything between 1 month to 3 months to
Mhm.
to get to a look above 90% accuracy,
But it will maintain that
and
context
and
continuity.
then you will maintain it. Correct. Because once it knows. It maintains the knowledge base, and and that is where you can't have just a model sitting there. I'm talking about a platform, and platform needs to store that knowledge in some shape or form, persist that knowledge, and feed it to the models on a as needed basis.
Shachin, let's pause just for a minute. There are a couple of questions that have come in. I just want to make sure we clarify.
Sure.
So when you refer to DOM, you mean document object model, right? Someone has
That is
asked.
correct. Document object model, right?
The
We,
follow-up question,
yeah.
sorry. And the follow-up question from another participant is, let's say Copilot has access to the in-house framework plus DOM. What common challenges can we face in framework maintenance?
So if Copilot has access to DOM, I was saying that the Copilot is a general purpose platform, AI
Okay.
platform. I do not believe that a
Mm,
general purpose AI platform can give you test automation. For example,
mm,
Copilot, we have Claude Code. We also have Claude. You can go to claude.ai, right? So that's a
mm,
general purpose AI platform.
I see.
But only since we have Claude Code, only since Claude Code came into existence, we have started seeing this kind of acceleration in AI-based code generation. Because Claude Code is a specific implementation for code generation using AI. So similarly, we need in a specific AI-based test automation platform
Mhm.
which knows how tests are written, not only what the enterprise application do, but how the tests are written. What is good, bad, ugly, what is reasonable, what is needed at any point of time, etc. How to store the enterprise knowledge to build more and more accurate test cases.
Sure. Understood. Uh, Another question, and I don't know if you can pass this one if you think this we should wait till the end, is if you don't have manual test case but PRD, but this is question is asking if you see a general knowledge base management system as a useful substitute, I guess, for the automation testing in lieu of manual test, available manual
So
test.
yeah, so idea is to provide the application context to
Yeah.
this platform.
Mhm.
Now, if
Mhm.
we provide it, then we are talking about connectors. So we already have lots of connectors to read Excel file, to read manual test cases, or Jira, or Word document, this, that, and all that. But if you have a general purpose knowledge base,
Yeah.
then we are talking about simply integration and connector. This is just a development problem to
Yeah. Yeah.
to ingest that knowledge
Correct.
base.
Correct. Correct. Yeah. Makes sense. Good point. Yes, let's keep going. So I'll keep bringing.
Yeah, absolutely. Good questions. Um, Actually, this is the last slide. So, what leaders should be doing today?
Yeah.
So, one is that, and majority of the enterprises would have manual test cases or in some form. So, treat those as institutional knowledge rather than just a legacy
Mhm.
stuff sitting there. Uh, And number two is actually very important, and this is what we've been talking about. Adopt learning first automation. Don't just jump into automation. Yeah, you can get some gains, but the real impact will be when a platform learns about the, the target application, the context, and then is able to transform the test cases and write automation.
Mhm.
And and then the third one is very important, plan for intelligent automation platform. Now, what happens here? That once you have this kind of an intelligent automation platform, your QA capacity does not need to grow. However, their role changes. Their role changes from QA to QE. So
Mm-hmm.
rather than QA, just writing the manual and automation test cases all day long, now they are the gates validating whether this automation platform has done its job or not, and helping it, training it to get better.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, it's about mostly what in my experience, test automation project success or failure is not about coverage, it's not about speed, it's about trust. Can you trust this automation suite to do its job day in and day out? If it says something failed, it really has failed. If it says something has passed, it has really passed.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And that
So
confirmation can happen only with some manual oversight or some sort of a
yes,
human in the
exactly.
loop to validate the false
Yeah,
positives and false negatives of the
yeah, right,
cases.
right. So the platforms itself should be the first gate. So they should themselves check
Yeah.
what they are doing and making sure that at least do an evaluation and provide the confidence rating. But
Yeah.
you are absolutely right that final gate has to be human, uh, providing
Yes.
that kind
Like
of
a follow-up question on this topic. Another participant is asking that, in their organization, the real knowledge lies, context knowledge of the application lies in the heads of the senior engineers and perhaps rest of the senior
Mhm.
team, not
Correct,
in
correct.
documented documents and workflow
Yes,
documented, even manual
yes.
test cases.
Mhm.
What's a realistic way to extract that knowledge from the senior people
Yeah.
so that the AI platform can be effective?
Yeah, it's a funny thing. We are just, in fact, we are in the process of signing a contract with a large organization, and they have the same exact issue that the knowledge is in the heads of their
Yeah,
senior engineers.
common challenge, yeah.
So it's a real challenge. It's a real challenge. It's a practical challenge. So now our project is divided into multiple phases. The first phase, we are going to be sitting down with them and extracting that knowledge and documenting.
Mhm. And is there any AI tool
And
involved there, or are you doing that the
yeah,
old-fashioned
yes.
way of creating documents?
No, there are AI tools. There are definitely AI tools, and more and more are coming on a daily basis. So there are tools like you can sit down with them, with those engineers, and go through the test cases in a browser window. And there are either these browser windows are part of a tool, or a tool is connected to that, and uh, they are doing intelligent recording. I mean, the record and playback is old. That has been happening, but intelligent recording is recording the intent. So somebody clicked on a submit button, but what is it? You click on a button, or you submitted a form? You submitted a registration form.
Mhm.
So the AI tools are able to add that intent into the recording. So
Mhm.
essentially, what happens is that by the end of a this recording, a workflow, you have a number of test cases written in plain English,
Mhm.
and those test cases become input
Mhm.
for the test automation plan.
Yeah.
So that's just an example of one tool. There are more tools depending upon exactly uh, how the application needs to be extracted, information needs to be extracted.
Let's take another follow-up question on the same idea. If it is a old application,
Mhm.
let's say 10 plus year old, which has a, as expected, some tech debt
Mhm.
and some
Yep.
inconsistency documentation of, test cases, and the UI has evolved over time, and some of the
Yes.
business logic is not fully
Right.
documented, all
Right.
the
Right.
usual challenges of enterprise
Yeah.
application. How does
Yeah.
QA and human in the loop of QA address this effectively?
Right. 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 So again, I'll give you an example. So we are we're working with another enterprise. They have 30,000 plus test cases evolved over a period of time, and
Manual. These are
they
manual
don't
test cases
know
or automation
manual test
scripts?
cases, manual
Manual
test
test.
cases, manual
Okay.
test cases. Nobody has so many automation is. So manual test cases, so many, and they themselves don't know which one works, what doesn't work, and they just have it sitting.
Mhm.
So now again, we're using AI. First of all, going through all of that test cases and categorizing in different buckets because they don't even know that. So we're defining. I mean, so what we are doing with them is to say, all right, take us through your 10 most important workflows.
Mhm.
So we have those workflows recorded. Then we take all those 30,000 plus test cases and say, okay, can we assign to one of these buckets, one of these 20 workflows? And once we have bunch here and bunch here and a bunch here, then we again use AI to say, all right, is it aligning? Is the test case aligning with what we have seen? Because we also have screenshots and we can see, AI can see the screenshots. So is it aligning or is it missing or is it just missing a few things or is it completely off?
Mhm.
And then we categorize in different categories. Some of those are valid, great,
Mhm.
green. Some of those require some changes, yellow, and some of those are completely stale. So we we discard those or take those at a later phase, not to get going. But yeah, it's a big problem. There is no simple solution. It's not overnight solution. However, there is a solution.
Very good. So let's take an adjacent question. Someone has asked about what we would call, or they would call, self-healing automation test, meaning if
Yes.
powerful enough to generate self-healing automation tests. If the
Yes.
UI changes,
Right.
can the test change?
Yes.
And all.
Correct. 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 Yes, this is actually very interesting. That's the other reason automation projects fail, that you spend a whole bunch of money building this test suite, and then 6 months later, half of the test cases don't work anymore,
Mhm.
and the budget has run out. So now the whole thing is a chaotic thing. So our theory is that the English should be the basis of test test scripts.
Mhm.
Um, so now there are two different cases. One is where the intent has not changed, but the UI has changed,
Okay.
right? So intent. So in this case, if a human looks at the English test case or English scenario, a human is still able to go through the UI and handle it.
Mhm.
So, so my theory is that if a human can handle it, AI can handle it, given assuming that it has the context. So
Mhm.
in this case, AI will be able to self-heal these test cases. It does not matter how the extent of UI change. As long as intent has not changed, a human can handle it, AI can handle
I see. I see.
it.
So you do see
Now,
that practical use of AI tools for
yes,
keeping automation test suite up to date.
yes, absolutely, absolutely.
That's
And the
good to.
other case is that the functionality has changed.
Yeah.
Intent has changed. If the intent has changed, then there should be a change request, or there should be a new story or something that says, hey, now we are doing this.
Right.
If you don't do that, even a human is not going to be able to. But once you do that, AI should also be able to.
All right. There's a lot of very good questions, but let me cover a few tactical ones since we are coming onto our time
Sure.
boundary of 12:45 Central Time. Few more questions. Let me inject very tactical ones, which is first one is, the the state of AI tools in the again middle of a testing pyramid when you're doing
Mhm.
functional end-to-end test. Can you use any testing or test automation? Can you create test scripts for any test automation tool that is your in-house kind of a default tool, whatever, whether Selenium, whether it is Playwright, whatever. So can you create
Mhm.
test scripts for any targeted tool?
Yeah. Uh, so if you're talking about EverTest, then yes, we are able to produce scripts in Selenium, Cucumber, Playwright, any of these. That is correct.
So the point is that there is general capability, including
Yeah.
EverTest, your
Yeah.
product.
Correct.
That's the
Yeah.
capability we can
Yeah.
expect.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the other one
See,
is,
uh,
sorry,
yeah,
Shachin, yeah.
I was saying that it's like Cloud Code. Cloud Code can generate code in Java and Python and all of that. Doesn't, yeah.
And if someone has a backlog or of large number of manual test cases, is it safe to conclude that they, in this current state of AI tools, that they could just ingest those manual test cases and produce automation scripts for any targeted automation tool?
So
Reasonably high confidence.
to be honest, the reason we started on this path in the that we did not find a tool to do that.
Mhm.
So in my knowledge, EverTest is the only platform today that can do this. Ingest manual test cases and produce.
Okay. I'm just looking at the questions, see if there are any other
Yeah.
big questions I should make sure I bring in here before we run out of time. Um, okay. I think most of these, first thing, there are a lot of good questions, and I don't think we're going to be able to cover all of them anyway. So I highly recommend we are happy to do follow up with any of the participants on
Mhm.
this topic. I'm sure Shachin, you'll be happy to do, and I'll be
Sure.
happy to follow up.
Absolutely.
Let me to ask one final question at the organizational level. Any implication on the original team structure that you talked about in one of your slides?
Mhm.
Four
Right.
dev, QA, one product owner, classical Scrum team. Now under the AI tools, available AI tools for both development and testing automation that you mentioned. What how does the team structure evolve?
So my take is that unless we definitely need more QA capacity. Now, QA capacity can be handled in two ways. One is that if we start using an intelligent AI test automation platform, and if we don't do that, then the only possibility we have is to add human, which is not scalable. So
Mhm. Okay. Very good. I'm going to pause here for all the questions because there's just a few more, and I don't think we'll do justice in time. Any other parting thoughts, Sachin, before we wrap up? Maybe we'll do a follow up on this topic. But for this one, any closing comment from your side on the state of AI adoption for QA automation or QA and QA
yeah,
automation?
right. I am hopeful. I am very hopeful that uh, we will start seeing more and more tools, more and more intelligent test automation platforms, and for automation testing. And I am really looking forward to a day where what you gave a example that you have a PRD and Cloud Code or a tool writes code, and another, in parallel, an intelligent test automation platform is writing the test script.
Right. That's the holy grail of efficient software
That is a holy
development.
grail, right?
All right, let's wrap up at that. Thank you very much, Shachin, and thanks everyone for joining us today. Stay tuned for our next month's webinar. All right.
Thank
Thanks.
you. Thank you very much. All right.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.